Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Susan Giannantonio and I've been busy. As you know, I did a wonderful Betty Franks workshop out in New Braunfels, Texas about 3 weeks ago. And my friend Pam Swallow and I painted up a storm with the wonderful Betty Franks. And then I took a sabbatical of a few days, about a week or so, visited my 95-and-a-half-year-old mom up in Pennsylvania. And for those of you who asked, yes, she's doing better. She's amazing for 95 and a half and still going pretty strong. She's improved continuously since she was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago. So thank you for asking. But this past week, my friends, a few friends of mine and I, including Pam, who you saw featured last week. If you didn't see last week's video, you need to check it out. I did a studio tour of hers and showed off her beautiful work and her beautiful condo with all her paintings. But nonetheless, my friends and I did a Joan Fullerton workshop this past week at the Watercolor Art Society Houston. It was a wonderful workshop, my third workshop with Joan Fullerton. And the way that she teaches so appeals to me. I have acquired a number of her techniques, which really is entirely different from paint like Joan, but it gives the artist some tools to pursue our own path. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Today, I want to do two things. I want to show some work that I started in Joan's class last week, Joan's workshop, and show you that I'm struggling a little bit at this point because it's easy to start paintings, but it's not always that easy to finish them. So several of my paintings are in that adolescent phase and I need to decide how to tweak them. And when you're working non-objectively, you have some big decisions to make. And I look forward to resolving some of these uh, in time, certainly not today, but I'll talk to you a little bit about some thoughts that I have and maybe share with you how I look at a piece and how I make decisions to move it further toward the finishing line. The other thing I want to do is walk you through my own studio a little bit because I'm so proud of myself. I was so impressed with Pam's studio last week that I have spent 3.5 days since I got back from the workshop just pulling things out and reorganizing my studio. So I'm going to just give you a little glimpse of what I've been doing, certainly not an entire studio tour, but in case this gives you some ideas of how to organize, or maybe some ideas of how not to organize, because I'm not saying I have figured it all out, but I've been doing this a long time and oh my gosh, I have lived in this studio for over 6 years and it really needed a good going over. So stick with me for the end of this session, this video, and I will share a little bit of that in my tools section. So let's have a look at a few paintings that I started last week in this Joan Fullerton workshop, and I'll talk a little bit about those. So these were done with some of Joan's wonderful prompts. She is known to give her students some prompts, and you can pick up whichever tool you desire or whichever color or pattern making device you want, but it's great fun. She suggests that you take a tool and use it, and in this case I worked on two pieces at the same time. I would just use a piece, a tool, and then switch to the other board. These are done on cradled birch board, and I have not decided which direction is up, which is which is often the dilemma with a non-objective piece. And I'm not going to be able to resolve that issue here today with you, but there are some things that I really like about these paintings that I would consider this probably a diptych. a painting that is well designed is often going to work at least maybe 2 ways or even 3 ways that you move it around. And if it starts to take a turn toward having an object, let's say if I started to develop a painting like this into a floral, it will start to define a little bit more specific orientation. So I just let the painting evolve, and every time I put down a mark or a color, it changes the whole composition, and then I respond to that. So yeah, so that was the first exercise that we did in Joan's class. I'm not going to be able to say exactly which piece was first, second, or third, but I can say that many of these paintings were done after watching her demonstrate. So this piece employs some marks that I really like. I love having multiple colors on my brush or tool. I like to fill my brush with multiple colors and stroke them onto the canvas. In this case, I'm working on paper. I'm undecided as to orientation. Sometimes the camera helps me decide which way to leave a painting. So I will have to take a look at this video myself and see if it helps me decide. After I've worked on a painting for a while, I start to lose perspective, and it's helpful for me to get away from it for a while. And I can tell you right now, I haven't been away from it enough to make decisions about this one. This painting has some glare. I apologize for that. There we go. Okay, so I am loving the rich colors because I was using some transparent paint and some translucent paint, but I've built up some color here, and I'm really loving these deep, deep reds juxtaposed to some of the lighter, brighter reds. I'm not crazy about the composition. It feels like something is boxed in here. I'm liking some of these marks. So I am undecided about how to resolve this, but I will work on this and make some decisions another day. I have no idea where this chair came from, but I was cleaning off my palette and decided, or I didn't really decide, but the chair decided to show up. So I went with it and I had fun with it, and I might just do a whole series of chairs. It remains to be seen. I don't even know what this style of chair would be called. It just sort of came out of my brush. I didn't spend much time on it. And my real question is, how much time will I spend fixing it or cleaning it up? Because I really like the rawness going on here. So we'll see. But it was fun. My next piece has an interesting palette. I feel like it has a lot going on. I'm probably going to want to simplify this a little bit. Again, I feel like it's going to help me just looking at this on camera. Okay, All right, well, I'm liking a lot of things about it, and in time, I'll be able to make good decisions about where to go from here. I just want to keep from being too hasty about cleaning it up because I want some rawness going on, and I like the idea of messiness in my work. I don't like pristine paintings. I'm not comfortable in pristine studio, and my studio is pretty clean right now, but that won't be a problem. I can mess that up pretty quickly. I think this is my final piece that I did in Joan's class. I might be missing something, but um, my friends saw my work as florals. I love to do a floral landscape and abstracted floral landscape, and I guess it's probably because of these colors that that people saw this as a floral. Again, I'm really not able to see this very clearly. It's strange how we get so close to a painting that we can't see it objectively, especially non-objective work. I mean, to problem solve really, for me, is difficult, and I have to dig deep to make some strategic decisions. So let's take a look at this. I'll flip it around and see what you think. That just like in the other pieces, there is collage here, a lot of mark making. I used a variety of tools. I'm looking at this on my computer screen as I record this video, and I'm thinking, yeah, no, I think one more 90, the way I had it the first time, pleases me the most. I kind of like it. I like the fact that it is a little bit off center. I like that it has extra weight over here and it's sort of cantilevered a little bit. So yeah, it holds my interest. My goal is always to try to hold someone's eye for as long as possible. I feel like that is an ultimate goal for an artist, is to hold people in, not give them all the answers, but have the viewer look for an extended period of time. The longer the better. So yeah, so those are the pieces that I painted during the workshop. And now I'm going to give you a little look around my studio. Now remember, it's not in perfect order. It never will be. And in fact, in order to paint today, I really had to stash the remaining amount of organization onto one pile. But that's a lot better than having every horizontal surface covered with things, which is the way it was about 4 days ago. So here, take a look. Well, I'm going to interrupt this programming with one more painting that I just uncovered, and that is this piece. You'll recognize the palette. It's a similar palette to the others that I showed you. And with this one, I really can't say as I've decided on an up or down orientation, but I can think of a few things I want to do with this. I feel like it's a vertical and not a horizontal. You can tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you, and I love to hear your opinion on these things. I kind of like this. It feels heavy here, and I would like to have something going on over here that extends the eye around. I'm not sure exactly what. I love the black lines though, and as I'm working on this, maybe I will have it more close up so that you can see some of the definition. There's a lot of texture, some metallic paint. Anyway, I enjoyed doing this one. So now let's take a look around my studio. So these are the pieces that I just showed you. It's a little bit different vantage point, and it's helpful for me to see these pieces. Actually, this is a piece that I did some time ago, but it's helpful for me to put these out and take a look at them on a whole. And there's the little pieces that I showed you. That was the beginning of the workshop, that diptych. And as we continue here, these two pieces I started in the Betty Franks workshop a couple of weeks ago, and I still want to work on those because they are, I would say, mid-range. I still see some things that I would really enjoy doing, but they're at a nice place, and I look forward to getting back to those. So my studio has still quite a lot to do, but I wanted to show you my friend Pam had these organizational bins that she got from a place called Northern Freight, I believe, Harbor Freight, excuse me. I bought these, Harbor Freight didn't have the big ones, so I went to a place called Northern Tools here in Humble, Texas. And so I have divided my acrylics and mediums down here and my acrylics that I use most often on this little trolley. And I bought this trolley with the bins for my tube paints. I still need to sort through my brushes. I have a lot of brushes, and I even have some here on my computer drafting table. This is kind of nice to have a lazy Susan with your implements that you use quite often. This is my setup here. I have a camera, a down camera here on the back of my drafting table. I have a mic that I use when I am broadcasting or doing a class, and this down camera shows the work that I'm painting right here on my table. And this is a light that I turn on so that it has illumination. Even at night I can paint or teach here on my drafting table. My drafting table has a wonderful drawer here that organizes a lot of my paints and drawing materials, and I can have those quick at hand when I need to. This is an antique drafting table that I was given years and years ago by a friend. So I have two surfaces here, and I have another trolley with some paints and markers and whatnot. Then I have a bookshelf up here, or actually an industrial shelf, bookshelf over there. I'm going to show you, there are piles on this paper cabinet that I still need to deal with, but we've done full circle here. I've got a wonderful couple of paper cabinets that my father built me years ago, and I really appreciate these because they have huge drawers that are very easy to open, sliding drawers, and I have papers and all kinds of things in there. But I'm going to give you a little glimpse of behind the scenes, because here is where I'm really happy to have gone through all of my paintings from over the years, and I have paintings that are, I would consider paintings that I want to work on. I don't feel like they're finished, but I have lots and lots of paintings that I would like to pull out of there and maybe collage with, or finish up, things that I've done years ago I'm not really happy about, and they just don't feel like they're complete now. When you put a lot of time into painting, you learn as you go, and it's extremely helpful to have miles on your brush. And then I'm not really crazy about the paintings that I did years ago. So this is pretty much my studio. I'm very fortunate to have the space that I do. And now, thanks to Pam, thank you, Pam, if you're listening to this, I have cleaned off my painting area so that I can spread out and paint here without the clutter that I had. Notice I didn't show you the before picture. I just showed you the after picture because these tables were full of things that I paint with and projects that I had going on. I didn't have all of this organized, so yay! Now I can really get busy. Pam inspired me to put canvas down off of my roll of canvas and just use it as a tablecloth, essentially, for painting. And I can roll off any extra paint onto here when I have extra paint on my palette at the end of the day. And that way, eventually, maybe I'll have what Joan Fullerton calls underpants, an underpainting that I can develop into a painting. Who knows? Time will tell. So I thank you for joining me this week. I look forward to seeing you next week, and happy painting. Don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to have you join me frequently. And if you hit that little bell, if you're on your computer, you will be reminded by email that I have a new video up. Thanks again. Bye-bye.